To be an entrepreneur is not a nice tag you put on your shoulder.
Look, I completely agree with this.
Yeah. And I'm not pro the concept of Superman or Superwoman entrepreneurs. Because I think this deprives the value of the team. It's never an individual. It's always teams. Yeah, and the more we spread that humanity, us as Homo sapiens, as a species, what distinguished us from other human species was our ability to communicate better in mass, understand an opportunity or an issue, and collectively arrive to a solution. It was never about the Superman.
Welcome to the Arts DAO podcast, your #1 podcast for understanding the Web3 space. We chat with influential creators, entrepreneurs, and builders leading in the NFT and crypto industry, giving you decentralized access to everything happening behind the scenes with exciting projects and companies emerging in the Web3 space.
Why, hello. It's another episode of the Arts DAO podcast. I'm very excited today to be with Dr. Adil Alzoorani. It's very much a pleasure to have you here. We have a very exciting discussion about what he's up to out here in Dubai. But before we get started, just wanted to do a real quick kind of roundup. You know, the Arts DAO podcast, we represent one of the largest sort of Web3 communities here in the Middle East, and we're very excited to be, in a position where we're interviewing a lot of entrepreneurs, builders, creators in the space. And so if you are interested in better understanding what's happening in the space, check out the Arts DAO podcast on podcast.artsdao.io. All right, so Mr. Adil, how's it going? And maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you've been up to out here in Dubai. I've heard a lot of exciting things, and I think a lot of people would be blown away to see what you're pioneering.
Thank you very much. I don't know about pioneering, and probably you'll only believe half of what you hear. That's a philosophy that I take. So I have been fortunate to have investigated and been involved in a lot of sectors, starting with telcos, into economic zones, into building family offices, investments, got into healthcare, education, financial services, and food and beverages, and a few other sectors. Now, my latest venture, which I'm super excited about, and it is probably defining how would I look into even my future, because it is such an interesting play whereby you are able to contribute to community, society, and help a future generation to arrive to their potential. So the latest venture that I've embarked on is a school called Citizens School. It's a project that I've worked on for 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that myself.
Yeah. So it was not an easy venture to go for. Either ways, they are never easy. If you are building them from scratch and reverse engineering a concept that you believe in. And it all came from, initially we did the same in the healthcare industry. So we've pioneered in few subsectors of the healthcare industry, most of which we built from scratch, and most of which have succeeded in achieving their objectives. Of course, in business, there are wins and losses. And if you average in your lifetime to have more wins than losses, then you are in a good shape.
I think there's a Jordan kind of quote there. You miss 99% of the shots you don't take, right?
Yeah. Funny speaking, I was interviewed today in the morning with one of the one of the magazines, and and I ended a line by saying, the faster you lose, the faster you win.
Oh yeah.
Okay, because statistically speaking, 9 out of 10 businesses will fail within 3 years. Now, with the venture studio approach, apparently, as per latest studies and research, you have better numbers. 7 out of 10 7 out of 10 fail within 3 years, which gives it a better stats in there, which is fantastic. Either way, going back to the school.
Yeah, just to contextualize it maybe for the listeners. So you're founding a school called the Citizen School, which effectively teaches people, well, young kids and I guess students, about next generation technologies that are really there to reshape the world going forward, right?
Let me like reverse engineer a couple of concepts that I believe in, which have shaped up the school, and I hope that these are delivered on. What I target is to grow a generation that is capable of identifying problems or opportunities, that are capable of communicating amongst themselves to create what I refer to as entrepreneurial teams, and be able to deliver on products and services so that they grow economic and social contribution. So that is what I want to create as a generation. Beside that, I hope that that generation is able to manage their quality of life. So identify what matters to them, what dictates quality of life to them, and be able to manage their quality of life proactively. So it involves a lot of like psychological management. It involves a lot of identifying what are the triggers in one's life, so that what I refer to is sleep in peace and wake up excited. That's what I hope. So those two variables or those two concepts are what I hope to deliver on within this education experience that I call Citizen. Reverse engineer both concepts into an education experience. This is what Citizens is all about. So in order to deliver on a generation that is able to identify problems or opportunities, team up and deliver on products and services, means I need to equip them with the understanding of how to identify problems or opportunities, equip them with the ability to communicate amongst themselves and team up, so that everyone of a team appreciates the value add of the other member in the team, and be able for them to deliver a product or a service that is needed in society and grow an economic outcome out of it. In order to achieve that, then you need to grow researchers. You need to grow matter experts in many sectors. You need them to be exposed to as many technologies, as many economic defining phenomena as much as possible. You need them involved earlier on into comprehending those futuristic concepts, that they can build products and services that will be meaningful by the time they graduate. You need to realize that 40% of them will not be able to get jobs. So entrepreneurship sounds nice. People might like to be referred to as entrepreneurs. But in 10 to 15 years from now, based on World Economic Forum reports, it's survival. So to be an entrepreneur is not a nice tag you put on your shoulder.
Look, I completely agree with this.
Yeah. And I'm not pro the concept of Superman or Superwoman entrepreneurs, because I think this deprives the value of the team. It's never an individual. It's always teams. Yeah, and the more we spread that humanity, us as Homo sapiens, as a species, what distinguished us from other human species was our ability to communicate better in mass, understand an opportunity or an issue, and collectively arrive to a solution. It was never about the Superman or the Superwoman that is able to deliver on that promise of a better life. It was always about communication and about teaming up. So I want to bring that back, but in a practical way, whereby communication and teaming is part of the exercise of building the individual. Yeah. So that is an essential element of even in the furniture. If you go to the school, see the furniture is not lines that are separated it's always shared desks, like commonly shared, and 3-4 sitting on a desk, because we want to be able to grow them into teams. As time goes by, everybody grows a skill, everybody adds value to the value proposition, and so on and so forth.
For the benefit of the audience, maybe you could talk us through some of the topics that you're exploring. I mean, one of the main things that we here on the Arts DAO podcast are very excited to explore with you is the fact that you're probably one of the first schools in Dubai or the Middle East that will be actively teaching blockchain, Web3 concepts, and other things related to that, right? In some way or form, because as you've mentioned, you sort of want to ensure pupils who come out of your school are equipped for a world that continues to change. And they're equipped to build products, services, or other types of infrastructure for a world potentially moving in a different direction from where we were before.
Yes. So I am keen on not only educating the kids about the current prevailing technologies and the most promising ones. I'm equally interested in exposing the community in mass, inclusive of course, the parents and the teachers and all of that. Because education is an experience more so than a task. Yeah. If you grow individuals that are curious, that are exposed and like to be exposed to as many technologies and concepts as possible, recognizing that few of them will succeed, few of them will fail, but it's all accumulated knowledge. There's no waste of learning there. So the moment you create an experience around the kids, the individuals, inclusive of the society, so the parents, everybody around, the more you do that, the better, in my opinion. Now, the kids that currently the school has many academies involved. So starting with actually venture studios. So as of now, the school has 2 venture studios. One is run by me. Okay. And the idea is that we are involving teachers and as many parents as possible, because we realize that most of the parents that we have are actually entrepreneurs by nature. So we involve them in venture building and company building.
Wow.
And the idea is we want to convert them to become mentors, both teachers and parents, to become mentors for the kids, so that they infuse in the kids the whole process of building economic organizations. A
building mindset.
Yes.
And it's very...
the research side of it, the ability to identify other skills that can contribute in identifying and solving a problem, the ability to speak multiple languages, in the sense that to comprehend multiple functions within building a venture. Yeah.
What's interesting about this is, compared to, at least, so I grew up in Taiwan, in Asia. I lived there for 18 years, and the majority of kids in my school, nobody really thought that much about venture building. It was very much, let's go to law school, let's go to maybe becoming an engineer, or let's become a doctor. And the problem with that is you kind of do not incentivize greater creativity in your learning. You go out and just pursue one goal because that's the path of least resistance. But what you're actually teaching is to actually pursue some element of resistance as a kid, to learn skills that you can actually build, despite the fact that you've also acknowledged that 9 out of 10 ventures fail.
You see, we need to teach that failure is part of the whole process. It's equally important, which is not what education systems do teach nowadays. Most of them, not all of them. The education system that exists now for almost 200 years is the outcome of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution it was a need to produce people of certain skills in mass. Because you need to realize, out of the 8 billion people that we almost are hitting now, 6 billion came in the last 200 years.
Wow.
You need to realize that as Homo sapiens, as a species of humans, we existed for 300,000 years. We grew 6 billion people only in the last 200 years.
Wow. Exponential, yeah.
And you know why?
A graph, I can just
Yeah.
picture the graph. It's like an
Yeah.
exponential graph.
There are many factors that got involved in doing so or helping so, but the main one was vaccinations.
Oh, yes.
So tell the ones that don't vaccine or resist vaccination that we exist as everything that is today there out, like the economic structure, like a lot of the social structures we live in, is the outcome of the fact that we have grown so rapidly in the last 200 years, inclusive of the education system. The scary, sad reality is that we are going to stagnate in less than 50 years. So it's expected that as a population, we will, as a human, as a species, we're going to stagnate at around 9.3 billion, which will probably happen within the next 30 to 50 years. You know that China, this is the last year they will ever grow in population.
I guess they're going to peak
This
now.
year they're gonna grow another 500,000, and that's it. And many other countries the likes. To the best of my memory, I might be mistaken, Brazil. This is like the last year for them to grow, and some others. I'm not sure if Nigeria is in the mix, but many key countries, global countries, which were drivers in population growth, are gonna stagnate this year. So what will happen to economy once population stagnate? The economic structure we live in today, the stock markets, the pension structure, the social pension structure, all of them is dependent on that.
Continuous
a bigger
growth.
population is coming than the existing population. Call to the end of that. What will happen? We don't know. So such concepts, once you contemplate and once you train the future generation to comprehend and accordingly accumulate skills and be able to leverage of certain future realities, the more you get them into that mindset, the better. You give them a chance in life. That's hopefully what the school does. The school, beside venture building, venture studios, the school is currently establishing a blockchain academy in collaboration with one of the biggest, most popular names. So that will get announced very soon.
Wow.
It's probably
Exciting.
the biggest blockchain environment there is today. We are growing an esports academy.
No way.
Yes.
To train people in esports. So
And using esports as a mean to educate.
I mean, I think I should just mention to the audience, for those who might not be familiar, esports are actually games, video games.
Yeah.
And so not many people might not know this except people in the industry, but there's a whole world of players out there playing video games competitively, building also
They make millions.
and they make millions, right?
Yeah, because they create content.
Yes.
You understand me?
Yes.
But I'm also taking it from a different angle. Those games know better than you know you better than you know yourself, because you can use those games as analytical tools to understand things like how fast your brain works, how fast your senses are, how are you a team builder, are you a leader, are you a strategist, are you a lot of skills that the games know more than you know yourself.
Because it detects it, I guess, in your
because they analyze you all
reaction.
the time.
Oh yeah. It's
And
quite
you're sitting there,
frightening as well.
Yeah. So if I can discuss a lot of concepts that are seriously scary. Okay, and probably I'll touch on that because it's important to realize many concepts that we live today and we take them lightly are actually going to define the future of humanity. Let me ask you a question. Do you use Google Maps much?
Of course, it's impossible.
Have you used it to go back home?
Yes, I have.
Yes. And have you used them to go back home, albeit you probably know the roads quite well?
No. Normally I use it when I'm somewhere where I don't know the way back.
So if you have any doubt about yourself, you'll use Google. Yeah?
Oh, yes.
So you trust Google more than you trust yourself. And although you might take it lightly,
I mean, it's very true about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think we trust Google for information.
You know why? Because as humans have evolved, for ages we entrusted a third party to guide us on what's right and wrong, and then we as humans wanted to contribute to that concept by the fact that we have evolved in hundreds of or thousands of years, and we went through a lot of experiences. This is why you exist today, because a lot of people before you took decisions. This is why you are sitting in front of me today. So we have intuition, and we wanted our intuition to get into decision making about how decisions are made today. But now you trust the machine more than you trust your intuition and the third party.
Wow, that's
why is that? Because they don't only know your history, they know your current status, and they are trying, or they are able to predict your behaviors more than you can predict yours.
Wow.
Okay, because they compare you to thousands of people that have similar characteristics to yours. So decision making moving forward for humans is gonna go to the machines. Okay, and yes, and you need to then develop this generation that will make use of that ethically and in a wise way, whereby we continue to flourish as a species, and we add value to community and our quality of life.
Maybe a good question I should ask you, given that what you're building and what you've just highlighted, is what do you see as some of the key flaws with schools today, right? Schools that exist today and what they're doing to children that are coming out of those schools.
Look, I do not want to criticize others. I don't think it's my job to do that.
Well, not criticize, but perhaps you are highlighting limitations in those, and how maybe what you're putting together.
So what I think is happening, or continues to happen, is building up on previous education. So what's happening in the education system is quite the same structurally as it was in the last 200 years, trying to produce employees.
Oh,
okay?
Wow. Very deep.
Yes.
Trying to create employees.
Yes, because you don't want employees to make mistakes. You can't ask entrepreneurs not to make mistakes. 9 out of 10 ventures that entrepreneur will build will fail. They'll make 9 mistakes to achieve the one right thing. The mentality of failure needs to be complementary to the mentality of success. Yeah, it's hard. It's never easy to accept mistakes, but to recognize that mistakes is part of the journey towards success, and it is very much statistical. Even the machines know it. Yeah, the machines actually know it more than we do. So I'm trying to build towards that ultimate objective. So I'm trying to reverse engineer that concept into an education experience. Are the others doing this? I can't comment. I don't think a lot of them are doing it. Yeah.
I don't think normal schools.
Yeah.
If you
and it has never started by me wanting to copy somebody else. In fact, I tried to collaborate with many others, and I found that I was a blue ocean to them. I was like, I'm talking Chinese to them, and I struggled with them. They struggled with me, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna let go. I will build an experience that is meaningful to the future generation. Why would I do it otherwise? It won't be fun, and I don't think it adds to humanity if I don't do this. Yeah.
I must ask now, recruiting the right kind of staff or teachers for this kind of institution must also present a different kind of challenge, because you're talking about people who are, if you think about traditional schools and what they teach, and what your school aims to teach, which is, niche and specific matter subjects, like, as you've mentioned, blockchain, esports. I'm guessing there will be elements of artificial intelligence and other technology tools, as you've mentioned, that will equip the future generation to work with machines or technology in a more effective way. Hiring for subject matter experts who can teach this must be not very easy.
Yes, and this is why we are creating a community at the school. We will not only need to train the teachers to become mentors, we will need to train the society to become mentors. Their whole ecosystem that are somehow directly or indirectly involved in the education experience. So teachers have to be trained to become mentors. Parents, if they are not already entrepreneurs, have to be trained to become mentors. The language that is spoken around them has to be adjusted so that it derives toward that ultimate objective. Become entrepreneurial, make entrepreneurial teams, help them have a better quality of life. That's it. It's very simple. It's very simple when you really focus on it, yeah, and then drive that experience towards it. It has to be an experience. It can't be from this time to that time. It can't be all about this session math, this. Yes, I will have to deliver on these because ultimately the kids need certificates and the parents need to see that there is a certificate of a certain curriculum that is acknowledged globally. I'm gonna deliver on that, but I hope that I'll deliver more than that, way more than that. So that then they give their kids the best chance in life.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's insightful. I think one quote you mentioned, really, I can't help shake it. It's, the current school system trains people to become employees. Yeah. And, that's I think one of the things that maybe is the cause for that is the way the grading system works, and how that grading system sometimes even translates later on into corporate life. You're so afraid of making mistakes because if you make mistakes and fail in any way, you are not rewarded for that. You are punished for that in a serious way. But the truth of the matter is, if you want to...
By the way, it assumes that we all think alike. How can we think alike? We are not wired.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, what color is that to you?
I mean, it's a red on the screen.
Yes. And it is red, but is my red the same as yours? We will never know.
Yes. So the assessment system kind of blankets the same kind of... And people have different skill sets. But
it was necessary as a species, by the way. It was and continues to be necessary as a species to have a common language, to evolve. Yeah? Otherwise, we would never communicate. But then, today, I think we need to recognize the fact that we are different. But look at it positively, so that if that difference can be utilized creatively, and that utilization adds value to humanity and society, then I think what I've once written an article way along. It says they have the right to be lost. Because how did Christopher Columbus discover the Americas? He got lost. He thought he landed in India. His target was India. This is why he called them Red Indians. You understand me? He got lost. He landed like, okay, those are Indians, ideally, because he was targeting India.
The West Indies,
yeah. So unless you get lost and have the right to get lost, you will not reach places that will then probably add to humanity and evolve us as a species. Am I right? And if I'm going to treat them all alike, how will they get lost? How will their creativity come out to be and be able to arrive to places that we couldn't arrive to as individuals? Yeah?
What's interesting is more and more I've seen today that young people between the ages of 9 all the way to 12, 13, 14, 15, they are they're increasingly founding or creating things that have significant value. We're seeing more young people create companies. The age for when you can become a founder because of technology is increasingly becoming younger
and younger. When did age get linked to adding value to humanity?
I mean, this
is what we created.
This is not natural. It was a patriarchal system from the...
it was like, no, you have to just learn up till this age and then, get employed. And if you are crazy enough, then you might create something different. Yeah. I mean, Einstein was seen as a stupid kid. Look what the guy did. You understand me? It helped us understand the universe. You understand me? So he was lucky that somehow he was able to deliver to humanity, albeit all the resistance he fell in as a creative individual.
If we could move this now in a different direction, I mean, given that I think the audience maybe hasn't heard this, but you have a background in technology and cybersecurity, right? You've mentioned to me briefly before that you're an ethical hacker.
Yeah, in the morning. I was that for quite a while, actually.
And of course, you run, besides the school, you're the chairman and CEO for several other organizations and companies. You've worked before in government, and you run a family office and investment fund and various other things. So I'm assuming in some way that background must be very helpful for you in building this school. As would you also be using your background to offer venture capital or other kinds of funding to members of the school who end up creating ventures?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I intend to make the school a factory for companies.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, and those are arm's length. And the hope, the outcome of that, beside it being financially interesting, so it needs to be a sustainable. It needs to be a sustainable approach. So they are all for-profit organizations. If I'm able to convert teachers to mentors, parents to mentors, then that would be amazing. Many ask me, what if they actually become successful entrepreneurs? I say, great. I'll have more partners. You understand me? If I can make the teachers partners, or the parents partners, or the kids, the students partners, that's the jackpot. You understand? So I'll be the factory of companies and founders. Yeah, that'll be amazing. Of course, this is far-fetched.
It's like a Y Combinator in a sense.
Yeah, and
a school Y Combinator, so to speak.
Yes, but I am not out on. I'm not, unlike many other setups, I'm not out there to find entrepreneurs only. I am out there to make them and produce them in mass. That's my hope. I hope I achieve some of that. I always say if I can achieve 10% of what I strive for, I'll still call it a win. What do you think? Okay.
So I wanted just to ask you a couple questions now, more specific about blockchain and crypto. Given that this is something that you've decided to offer in your school, what's your thoughts about how this piece of technology can reshape the future, and I guess why do you believe it to be important to have your pupils learn about this?
When the internet was initially created, it was created amongst universities, and it was not created with. So it was created with the thought that universities trusted each other. So the design of the standards behind the internet did not assume that people will do wrong, which was, I wouldn't call it naive, but it was experimental as technology at the time. But then it grew tremendously, and it has weaknesses. This is why still the internet struggles with elements of privacy, security, and so on and so forth. When blockchain first came out, to me it was very interesting because code-wise, it could offer a solution to actually replace the internet down the line when it comes to the concept of a server-client relationship to a blockchain environment. Understanding, though, that a transaction on blockchain takes almost 10 times more energy. The internet wouldn't have been able to get launched with a technology like blockchain because we didn't have the processing power at the time. I think the processing power is emerging or growing quite tremendously, and especially with quantum computing coming up. I think blockchain will assume a good chunk of the internet. Okay, and a lot of use cases, and that's mainly because it is able to provide better security and privacy than the server-client relationship. Adding to that, there are a lot of use cases then that could actually come to be in a much more efficient way than it is today. For example, financial transactions. Since you are able to introduce currencies in smart contracts, then it could assume, smart contracts can assume the role of banks and central banks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, you can become way more efficient.
I mean, yes, you don't need
Okay,
a
so you
whole
don't-
team of people.
You don't need the human factor there.
Yeah.
The machine is gonna govern the financial transaction, which is amazing. Licensing content, removing the middleman
Yeah, for NFTs. So that's
for
how
NFTs or whatever the ultimate name that it will hold, whether it will be called NFTs or anything else. It's basically removing all the middlemen between the creator and the consumer of the content in a very transparent way, whereby there's no human factors in it. So with that, you are making it way more efficient again. So as in the financial transactions, DeFi and the smart contracts in that sense, same goes with monetizing intellectual property. Registering it and monetizing it today is very costly, and the creator gets peanuts.
exactly.
Yeah. So the moment you remove all the middlemen from equation, it's just simple logic that it is way more efficient. So I believe it will become a dominant use of the blockchain environment, and many other scenarios. Let's talk about, for example, the metaverse. Metaverse, in my opinion, what it does is that the internet made the world a small village. Metaverse is gonna bring communities back to the small village. Okay,
It's
you
a
are a community of artists. You can have a space in the metaverse that visually represents the community, making the experience more immersed and immersive amongst the community members. Yeah, which I think adds a lot of value and has a lot of power. And in my opinion, it will also dominate. I think it has crossed the curve upon which you would still question whether it would become mainstream or not. So I don't have a doubt that the blockchain is mainstream and will become further more. I don't have a doubt that cryptocurrencies in the form of smart contracts are going to become dominant. I don't have a doubt that intellectual property in the form of smart contracts will become a dominant feature or a tool. And we would need a generation that understands and comprehends this and adds to it, and an education experience between teachers and parents, so home and school, that comprehends this and helps support the kids into that kind of a future.
Well, this has been a very enlightening discussion. I a lot of things you've mentioned here that I didn't think about myself, but also, when in my own journey with Web3 crypto, I used to be a lawyer before this, and
I'm sorry, what happened?
I still am a lawyer, but I just don't practice anymore, and I'm more comfortable in the Web3 world right now. But
as long as it makes you happy.
But I think,
do you sleep better now? And do you wake up excited? That's how I gauge it.
I wake up excited. I sleep. Maybe I don't sleep better, but I wake up excited.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I wasn't sleeping much as a lawyer anyway.
Either ways, yeah.
No, but what's really touched my thinking here a lot is in being a sort of practitioner within the Web3 space, right? With running Arts DAO, a lot of the challenges we face is kind of bringing forward an education to the masses, right? This is how blockchain works. The MetaMask wallet operates this way. These are what cryptos are. NFTs operate this way. They're sold. The whole use case. I think imagine after several years where children have kind of learned about this, them going into the world and actually building. It then doesn't necessarily have to be so much about teaching anymore. It's more about exploring what use cases can actually come into play. I think right now a lot of the discussion is just about understanding what blockchain is all about, and we're not really having much discussion about what we can build, what we can do, what
This is exactly what I'm trying to achieve with the academy. So we'll be creating a local blockchain environment. We'll be actually distributing cryptocurrencies within our environment, opening it up to smart contracts.
So the peoples will get free crypto.
Yes. The kids will get free crypto to start, but within our local blockchain environment.
Brilliant. So they can test it.
The reality is, I mean, it's a wild world. Yes. So, and you need to protect the kids, especially at early ages. You need to equip them, but at the same time, it's our duty to protect them from wrongdoing or from malicious activities, outsiders that don't have the right intentions, manipulating kids. So we have to protect them a bit. So how would you protect them and expose them at the same time?
Great.
We will be starting with closed environments, and then slowly and steadily start opening them up into, as they grow, more mature, to the rest of the world, whereby they can take these learnings into practical uses that are value adding to community and society and themselves down the line. So, and it's not easy. It's not going to be easy, but I have a lot of passionate people around me. Okay, and probably I have a lot of parents that are willing to take the journey with us and the kids, so that they arrive to a stage in time whereby they can provide to themselves and the community. So let's see how that goes.
So just to wrap this up, I know we've been talking for quite a while now, a lot of value.
I still can do 2 hours if you want.
I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're a very busy guy. Just for the benefit of the audience, when is the school launching?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, September.
So
yes,
very
yes.
exciting.
Very
looking
exciting.
forward to
Yes.
hearing about the launch. Maybe I can swing by and see what's going on. I'd love to see that.
All are welcome to come and see the school, get the VIP tour. If I'm around there, I'll come and say hi.
That's very exciting.
And it's very exciting time.
Is there a website they can go to check out? Is it
citizens.ae?
citizens.ae?
Yes.
Guys, check out
You
Citizens.
might wonder why it's not citizenschool.ae, or why it's not the global citizens school, or whatever. Yeah.
Is there
Because to me, citizens is an experience. It doesn't need to attach itself to
any extra word?
an extra word.
Yeah.
So I hope the citizens experience becomes the dominant feel of that environment.
Wonderful. Now to wrap up, usually with our guests on the podcast, we always kind of like to explore a little bit about them off topic,
Yeah.
And so actually, you've struck me as very much as a philosopher in many ways. Despite your background in tech and investing, you're very passionate about the history of humanity, how humanity has evolved in many ways. So I can't help but wonder, if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing instead?
Playing the guitar.
Why is that?
There's beauty in art. I always envied artists, I have to say. It's to me, art is, because I'm not a natural artist, but it feels as an out of this world experience. It comes closer to the energy that the universe is. You get closer to touch and feel the energy. Otherwise, we are consumed by social concepts of happiness, success, importance of time, a lot of social concepts that are man-made. Music and art is real as the universe is.
Wow.
Okay.
Very deep.
So the vibe that you would create painting something or playing a piece of music, it propagates into the universe. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's the fastest particle in the universe? Or what's the fastest thing in the universe?
It would be light.
Most people will answer that. Up until my 12 years old told me that the speed of the widening of the universe that we are in is faster than light. And you wonder how would we teach them anything? They know
Wow.
more than us, don't they?
Your 12-year-old said that
Yeah,
to you? Well, clearly he's some 12-year-old.
But then, yeah, you recognize that, yeah, we are talking a very different sphere of knowledge.
All right, on to the next question. What secret skill do you have that nobody knows about?
They are dark secrets, man. Very dark secrets.
Well, secret skill that nobody knows about. Maybe it could be anything.
I'm realizing that I'm not a horrible photographer.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting better at this.
so you've got a secret photography skill. That's great.
Yeah,
I would love to see your
it's
photos.
growing, and I'm like even shocked with myself. It's like, okay, I am not bad. Maybe it's the phones are getting better. I
phones
don't know. It's
Actually, that's a very good point.
yeah.
Phones
Maybe.
have made a lot of camera companies
Yeah.
irrelevant.
So they make me look good.
Now, final question. What's your favorite restaurant in Dubai?
It's a restaurant that is not on the Entertainer, which pisses me off.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a shame because you're a chairman of entertainers. So
I'm-
you should look
I'm
to
MD.
MD.
Yes,
so,
yes.
so which is the restaurant?
It's a social house.
Oh, the Social House.
love
Yes, great place. Great
I
place.
love them. But although we had discussions, but they didn't join the Entertainer. One that I used to really, really love is also Anis, which is in the Intercon. And one that I'm very proud of because they are in the Entertainer is Kitchen 6.
Kitchen 6.
Yes, in the Marriott.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'll have to check that out.
But my casual restaurant that I love, and I love their food, Singaporean noodles in Social House is impressive. And they have many other dishes. All of their food is nice, actually. I should be paid for that.
Well, Dr. Adil, it was an absolute pleasure. I'm very grateful for your wisdom. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And we are super excited to see you launch the Citizen School in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah?
Thank
All
you
right.
for receiving me in here. You guys are doing really good to society community. You're educating, you're creating, and I really wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is the Arts DAO podcast. And thank you. Check us out on the next episode. Lots of love and peace. See ya.